Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Eves.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, don't listen to what other people have to say, it's your life, not theirs, with Jacqueline Carson. We talk about the effect on her health of 25 years of stress, working too many hours and not looking after herself, how hypnotherapy helped with her cancer treatment, and how working for herself is one of the best things she's ever done.
Jacqueline is a qualified social worker and has worked in safeguarding children for 25 years. In 2014, she found she had breast cancer on the first day of a new job. The diagnosis turned everything on its head and forced her to reevaluate her life, including her very stressful job. After accessing hypnotherapy during cancer treatment, she decided that this was the new career that she needed and retrained. Since qualifying as a clinical hypnotherapist in 2016, Jacqueline has also retrained in Reiki, EFT, NLP and Havening. Jacqueline now runs her hypnotherapy business full-time and has no regrets. She's gone on to study meditation and plans to train as a yoga teacher.
So Jacqueline, first question is, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Oh, yes.
Not everyone does.
No.
So it's nice to have that as an answer sometimes.
Well, it's weird because there was a few things, but there was one thing that really stood out, and I actually really, really wanted to be a vet. That's what I wanted to be. So I was absolutely animal crackers, and my dad didn't really didn't want us to have any pets. So I actually killed our pet goldfish by feeding it too much, and so we were allowed a goldfish.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So we were allowed a goldfish, and we were allowed a budgie, and sadly that also keeled over too. And
The most boring pets, bless them, aren't they? Like pointless pets.
Yeah,
you want to cuddle, don't you?
You do, and I really did. I really wanted a dog, and it was just like no. But my mum was an animal lover, and she used to. She took us me, not my brother. She took me riding. So I first started to learn to ride when I was 3. Just at a local riding school, and then I befriended a girl locally who was very lucky, I think, to have quite a rich father. I would say we weren't like really, really poor, but my dad would always say, "Oh, we can't afford horses and dogs and things like that." And what really upset me was he used to question my commitment, and he used to think, "Oh, all little girls want ponies, and you get one, and then you don't look after it." So I met this girl, and she had 3. And I thought, she can't ride 3, not all at the same time. So I made friends with her. And in the end, she kind of lost interests. But for me, it was just, they were just my life. That's just all I wanted to do was just ride and care for ponies and things. So she and her dad just let me look after these 3 ponies, and one was only very young, so I broke him in, and I used to go off riding for miles and miles. And when I look back now, kind of, there was no mobile phones. You'd go out in the morning, you wouldn't come back till it was dark, and your parents just didn't know where you were. I bet they thought it was great, but I did. It was brilliant, and so I wanted to be a vet that specialised in horses. But I was also very good at English at school, and loved writing essays and things. And there was a part of me that thought, well, I'm going to be a writer. I just know I'm going to be a writer. So I had that passion as well. And when you do your options and things at school and stuff, I was okay at school. But I didn't particularly like school, so the atmosphere, then the environment. I wouldn't say I had lots of friends, and so I didn't really get on well at school. But so I was kind of looking at what options you need to take to be a vet, and I remember my dad saying, well, you can't do that. You're not clever enough to be a vet, and and you've got to do A levels and things, and you need to leave school and get a job, and so that's what I did. I left school and I went and worked in a local factory, stitching knickers for 6 weeks, and it was probably the worst 6 weeks of my life. It was just awful, and I was surrounded by older women, like women who, grown-up married women who had kids, and he was me, this 16-year-old kid, really, in this environment, and it just wasn't good. So I was desperate. I was desperate to kind of get away from home, I think, and I was obviously still mad on horses, so I used to buy Horse and Hound and The Lady, because I had heard that people do have kind of girls that come and live in, and do nanny sort of duties and look after the horses and the dogs. And so I had this idea in my head that, I could just go and live with some family somewhere else and take care of their kids and their horses and have a great life. But I never saw that. But I did see an advert for a racing yard for a racehorse trainer near York. And I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to do that. This is kind of my get out sort of thing. I applied for that, and he said, right, come down for the week. Come and have a week's trial, and we'll see how you get on. Oh my God. I went for the week and I never came back. So I stayed at that place for 2.5 years. Before I then moved around to some different racing yards. But it was, I think those 2.5 years was my university of life. And I think I'd had a very sheltered childhood, and I didn't know anything about, life outside, what it was like to work, or even how grown-up people function. And it was hilarious. And I do sometimes think I would love to write a book about that time and those times. It has been done, and I think it was last year, a girl did write about her life as a stable girl in racing yard, and I thought, damn, there we go again. Someone else has done it, and that's happened before. But so I started off wanting to be a vet, went into horse racing, had a great time, and I met my son's father in Newmarket. I was working in Newmarket at the time, and after we had our son, we did split up, and I moved back to the northeast at that point. I'd always said I would never come back, but I did come back, and my mum was ill, which was one of the main reasons why I did. And I went back to college and I did my A-levels, or I started doing my A-levels, and the intention was to go back to uni and study veterinary science. So I'd looked it all up, decided which university I wanted to go for. But I think it was unrealistic. I think you could do it now, but back then, as a single woman with a small child, doing 6 years at uni, staying away, just wasn't really that practical. And then Mum died halfway through me doing my A-levels, so I kind of quit at that point. Had a series of dead-end jobs before I then kind of fell into social work, I think, is the way to do it. I had a number of different sales jobs, selling for houses and stuff like that. And then, again, just came... it's like this thing, I still have it now, this kind of thing for learning, I'm always doing courses and reading, and so I found this course, which was for, I think, a year or something like that, which gave me a BTEC in social care. I don't know if BTEC still exists or not. Do they? Yes. Seems like forever away. From there, ended up going on to uni, not far from here, actually, Northumbria University I went to, and did social work. And I was based on Coach Lane campus, and I came down Coach Lane to get...
Coach
Is
Lane,
it?
yeah.
Right.
Bizarrely, there are 2 Coach Lanes in Newcastle, which makes it really helpful sometimes when you're ordering a taxi.
It's a good job you didn't tell me to come to Coach Lane then. Yeah, I'd have been somewhere else. Yeah.
We both went to Northumbria too.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed it there, and I met some great people. When I finished that, after I did my social work, I got interested in law then, and I thought, maybe that's what I need to do. You know, so I got a place actually studying law. But by then, I was really struggling financially as a single parent, and just thought, you know what, I do need to get a job. So I did, and that's how I ended up in social work, and 25 years on from there now. And yeah, that's been a roller coaster. And I think most people, it's so different now to when I first went into social work. And I think most people do go into that profession thinking that they can, and wanting to make a difference, and feeling that they can, you know, make changes and improve people's lives. And I think you do to a degree, and it's certainly very rewarding. But, you know, I was getting so frustrated. I was extremely stressed. I got quite high up, reasonably high up, and I was managing teams. I was working around the country, often in local authorities where things were really bad. You know, they were failing their Ofsted. They were needing to improve, and with that itself brings it additional pressure. There are very, very unrealistic expectations, I think, on caseloads and, you know, expectations of the working day even. And I remember my son when he was about 7 or 8, and he said to me one day, he said, "Mum, do you think you can get home before 9 o'clock on a night so we can have our dinner together?" And, you know, and even then you'd still be working through the night, you'd be writing reports, trying to meet deadlines. And yeah, and I think lasting 25 years was a pretty long time actually. But it did take its toll, and yeah, and I was, I thought I was quite healthy, you know, but I was drinking a lot of wine. I was smoking. I was working weekends and days, and still working, you know, through the night. So lack of sleep, not taking any time, you know, to care for me. And yeah, and then it all kind of hit sort of all together at the same time. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there were other things. I'm not just blaming, you know, my work, but I think definitely, you know, lifestyle and things impacted as well as the stress, which then led to the cancer diagnosis 6 years ago. So my dad became ill, and he died in 2013 in October. And then it was on the 1st of April 2014 when I had my diagnosis of breast cancer, which was like really, really weird, because I actually felt that I had a lump, and at the same time was invited to go for a mammogram. So they'd done this program locally to where I lived, and then I had the mammogram, which confirmed the lump, and it kind of happened at the same time. And yeah, so that's when I knew that things had obviously got out of hand. Things were I blamed stress. I did blame stress, and I did blame the job, and that was probably a big part of it. But then after that, you reflect. You know, when someone tells you that you've got cancer, you do just think, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm just, that's it. I'm you know, I'm gonna die. And then they tell you all these things about treatment. They give you choices for things, but your head's so muddled, you can't really think straight. And so you go through the motions. You just trust. You know, you have to. You don't have a choice. You just trust them, and you do whatever they say. So yeah, but what it did do is it made me stop. And I remember saying to the consultant, I don't have time to have cancer, actually. I'm too busy.
I'm too busy for this.
Yeah.
There's someone to do list later on.
Yeah, I'm too important in my job, People rely on me. People did rely on me. But obviously I'd be no good dead, so, and then they take your driving licence away. Well, they don't actually take it away, but you can't drive because you've had surgery, and so you're not insured. And I lived in the middle of nowhere. I was reliant, on my car. And it was like, bloody hell, here I am, having been busy. And now I'm just sat in my house kind of doing nothing, and I can't even go anywhere. And I'm in pain. And so lots of time to think and reflect. And so I knew not only did I have to change the job, because that was the ultimate cause of my stress, but I also I knew in my heart of hearts, the smoking had to go. And then the drinking would have to go. And and I think it wasn't until that point that I kind of admitted to myself that actually, I've probably been drinking too much. So, you take a back seat.
But I think it can become, what would be the word I'm looking for? It's almost, it's a comfort, it's a way of often relaxing, and end of the day, if you talk to many people, it's, I can't relax until I get home and I've had a glass of wine or a gin and tonic or whatever it might be. But it's quite easy to do that every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the quantities increase, and then it's a bottle a day, and before you know it, it's not something you're even really aware of. And with not sleeping, being stressed all the time, I mean, I think the body can only go for so long, can't it? Before there's a warning that's given to say, I can't do this.
I think that's exactly right. And I think that is what happened to me. I think that it was the universe's way of saying, look, stop. Stop and get a grip and get a control of you and what's going on in your life. You need to make some changes because, and you're clearly not going to do them yourself, so we're going to make you do it. And I do genuinely think that's what happened. But I think you're right about for me it was red wine. And it's that positive association with finishing work, coming in, pouring that glass of wine, taking that long, deep breath.
It's like a reward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well done. Finished the day. Let's uncork a bottle.
Yeah, but I did make an excuse. One of my excuses was that it's got a chemical in it that actually helps you to go to sleep.
Yes.
And I'd always be the one that was actively seeking out, the research about how red wine is actually quite good for you and heart health and all of that. And you know what? It's all just rubbish. It is absolutely all rubbish. When you really look at what alcohol is and what it does to you and it's just disguised in nice packaging and with nice flavours and sugar, lots of sugar in, that makes you want more. And that actually takes some admitting. It did get to the point, I don't mind admitting, where sometimes on the way home from work, I think, I can't go and buy a bottle of wine from the Co-op because I went there last night. I'll actually have to go around the corner and go to Asda or something.
That's when you know you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You're worried what the people in the Co-op say.
Yeah. Or you're kind of hiding your recycling just a little bit, So it was definitely becoming a problem.
To put it in the neighbours' bins as well.
I didn't go that far, but yeah.
I'm sure Bill would be amazed if I did that.
Yeah.
I don't drink enough, sadly.
Yeah. But it was the same with cigarettes as well. I couldn't go home without making sure that I had enough cigarettes to see me through the night and into the morning, Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's that kind of, it's needing that comfort, isn't it? It's needing to, it's a crux. It's something which you're using because you're avoiding facing up to something, and then habits become addictions and what have you and all the rest of it. So that was definitely happening to me. And one thing I didn't want to happen was I didn't want this cancer to come back. I absolutely didn't. And they offered me different treatments, which was amazing on the NHS. I didn't think that you could do this, you know. But they offered me acupuncture and hypnotherapy and Reiki, and you could choose. And in the trust where I was, they actually have a little holistic centre, and you can go there and access all of these different treatments. But obviously you don't have to pay for them. They are on the NHS, and they rely on donations. So you feel, I did feel a bit guilty that I was taking a little bit more than I should have done. Because obviously they need to move on to the next patient and the next patient. So so although they offer this, it's quite time limited, and you know, I was well aware that I didn't want to use anybody else's space. But the hypnotherapy really did resonate with me, and it just helped me to cope with the emotion of what I'd been through. And I've heard other people say this, and certainly it was the case for me, where once you've had the surgery, and for me it was to have the lump removed, and I didn't need chemo because I was really worried about losing my hair, but I did have radiotherapy, and it makes you feel extremely tired and fatigued, and it lasts for months and months after you've had the treatment. In fact, they say that the radiation stays with you, you know, throughout your life. People around you don't know this, they don't realise this, and they don't know what's going on in your head, you know, unless they've been through it. And I mean, now, of course, I was reading yesterday, 1 in 3 people die from cancer, which is massively high. But I think unless anyone has experienced it, they don't realise what the aftermath is, and they think that once you've had the surgery and you've had the treatment, that you're better now, you're okay. But actually your head is just everywhere. So the hypnotherapy helped me make sense of it.
Okay, so that's like the emotional side. Did you also start to work on stress, on drinking, smoking? Do you work on all things together, or is it one by one, or how did that work?
And well, yeah, I had to do it one by one, and I think that I know myself very well, and I kind of knew that if I did everything all at the same time, I was going to set myself up to fail. And the first thought was the job. You know, I can't be doing with this stress. I was having anxiety every day, heart palpitations, chest tightening. Yeah, that had to stop. Absolutely had to stop. So I decided I liked the hypnotherapy so much that I was going to retrain. And then I came across a friend of mine who had trained and who was also a social worker, and I didn't know she'd done this. So I spoke to her and asked her about it, and she gave me the name of the person, the company that she'd used, and I contacted them, and that was it. I did it. But then, you know, I was still doing my social work, because obviously it takes a while to build up a business. And I saw it as my kind of retirement fund, you know, my get out of social work. This was what I was going to do next. But I was also keen to start practicing straight away, and I did. So it was kind of seeing clients around my full-time job in the evenings and on the weekends. But then I started to feel a bit of a fraud. And I did have this plan. I knew what processes I had to go through, but I was also seeing people to help them stop smoking, relax, reduce stress and anxiety, stop drinking, you know, and even hard drugs. I've seen quite a few people to come off hard drugs, cocaine in particular, and I thought, this is just not right. This is not right. You know, I really, you know, I've forgotten what I need to do here. So the next thing was the smoking, and I went to a colleague who I'd trained with to help me with that, and I paid her, and she would have done it for free. She could have done it for free, but the thing about these sort of treatments is that you get out what you put in. So whatever value you place on it, you're going to get back out. So I did pay her, knowing that I had a financial commitment to this as well. And it was really funny because I smoked all the way there. Went to a house.
Your last one's in.
Oh yeah, chain smoked all the way there, and I just kept thinking, God, I hope this works. I really, and there was me, a hypnotherapist, you know, working with people, convincing people that actually it works, and it does, but you still have to have that belief. And I knew I wanted to stop, and I knew I wasn't a smoker. I didn't start smoking until I was 21 because I thought I was going to get fat. You know, I knew that I wasn't a smoker deep down. So I went in with an open mind, and we literally had no chit chat.
Would you say as well there was a why now to stopping smoking? So sometimes people will say, my reason for going to the gym, changing my diet, stopping smoking, stopping drinking is because I've had kids, I've had a heart attack, and now because you've gone through a traumatic experience, surgery, I suppose you question your own morality, don't you? Morality. Sorry, not your morality.
I was like, what's she done now?
There's another definition. Yes.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
I said that and I thought,
No,
doesn't sound right. So that's why we've got two on the podcast.
Yes.
Michelle can correct me.
The grammar police.
So you weren't questioning your own morality, but your own mortality. So do you think that was part of taking the step to actually do something to stop smoking?
I think possibly, yes. But it was, I just wanted to be healthy. I wanted to, because I learned a lot about cancer, and I did a lot of reading. I read a lot of research. I understood, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm certainly not medically trained. I know that there are different types of cancer, and there are different, you know, stages of cancer, and I know all that. So I'm not kind of, you know, generalizing as such, but I did feel, and I still feel, that I have some kind of understanding about how cancer cells work, and I read around breast cancer in particular, and hormonal cancers and things. So my primary aim was I didn't want that to come back, and I knew that I needed to have a healthy immune system, and I also knew that smoking compromises your immune system and stops it functioning and working properly. So I just knew that actually, if I continue to do this and I continue to smoke, then, you know, I felt hypocritical. You know, I really did feel hypocritical, and other people around me and my family and you know, my kids, who obviously had shared my journey with me, my kids in particular, I thought they must be watching. You know, their mother has had cancer, and they've had the biggest fright of their lives, and yet she's still smoking, and she's you know, and she's still drinking, she's still putting these toxins into her body, because there's arsenic in cigarettes, you know, there's cyanide in cigarettes, there's 7,000 chemicals in cigarettes. And I even got to thinking, I wonder if I could just, you know, smoke roll-ups or something. At least then they haven't got the chemicals in it. And
it's like bargaining.
Yeah. And you go through all of this, you know. And so I tried one, and it was just absolutely disgusting. But what it did do is prove to me, actually, that when people smoke cigarettes, that, you know, the taste, the flavour and everything like that, it isn't actually the nicotine. Yeah, you know, it's everything else. So yeah, so I think, yeah, probably mortality, but yeah, it was, I don't want this to come back, and I don't want to die.
So we were, I interrupted you, I apologise. You were
Sorry.
in the car, chain smoking, you went to see your friend.
Yeah.
No chit chat.
What happens in the session?
Yeah, there wasn't any chit chat at all. And I was just like, oh shit. And yeah, so she's lovely, and she has a room dedicated to hypnotherapy in her house. So we went in the room, and I have to say, I was really nervous, really, really nervous. And I'd obviously been hypnotised before. When you're training, you practice on each other, and I'd worked with my friend before, and, you know, I'd hypnotised her too. And so when she was doing it, all I was thinking was, oh, yeah, this is just nice. This is, we're just, yeah. And I thought, yeah, and she's doing this now, yeah, and she's doing that. So I was actually going through the process of what you say to somebody, when you're taking them down, when you're hypnotising them, when you're getting them nice and relaxed. And so I was kind of checking on her that she was doing it right while she was doing it. And she doesn't know this.
She does now.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. And
I think people who are already trained in something are the worst.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I also knew I had this determination. I had this absolute determination, and I'd prepared myself for the day. I knew that was going to be my, I'm just a non-smoker now. And I left again, no chit chat. And I thought, bloody hell, could have had a cup of tea or something. But so I left. And in my car, I still had some cigarettes. And I've got a little hidey place in my car. So I put them in there. And I remember telling myself this story going home, and I was thinking, well, at least they're there if I really need them. There's going to be no panic because they're there. And then I thought, actually, that's a bit of a test that they're there. If I can not smoke knowing that they're there, then I know I've cracked this. And I have to tell you that those cigarettes stayed there for about 6 months, and I never touched them once. Never touched them once. And I came away from there, and it's still the same to this day, 4 years on. I cannot stand the smell of cigarettes. I can smell them for miles away.
Smokers are the worst.
Oh, I was once walking the dog, honestly, in the fields out the farm near where I live, and there was just me and him for miles. And then all of a sudden I got the smell of cigarettes, and I was like, someone's here. And I was looking around and there was nobody there. It must have drifted, for miles. And I could smell it. It was, yeah. And if I'm walking in the street and you get the smell, I literally, honestly do have to block my nostrils. Can't stand it. Can't bear it. And I just wished I'd done it years ago, as you do with everything, don't you?
Well,
But, yeah. So that was smoking.
I've got a question now at this point. I often like to take the stance of the ill-informed, ill-educated person. So there's always stereotypes, aren't there? So you think of hypnotherapy and images are conjured up of a gold pocket watch that you're dangling in front of someone's face, and clearly that's not the case. So how would you describe that to somebody who may have seen hypnotherapy on offer through the NHS or through a local practitioner? What would you kind of describe it as?
Okay. So, I mean, I think one of the main things, I won't forget about your question, but one of the main things that people worry about when they come for hypnotherapy, or when they ring up and they make an inquiry, is they kind of wonder whether they can be hypnotised. That's sort of the first thing. People tend not to worry about the process. They're more worried about, or even I've had people who've come and sat down and said, oh, you won't be able to hypnotise me, and da-da-da. And there is a saying that the only people that can't be hypnotised are the people who really don't want to be. And, I would say that's probably true, but you still get resistant people who you can hypnotise, and can't really, everybody can be. We all go in and out of trance every single day. So even while we're all talking now, there'll be times when your mind will wander off onto something else. Like you might be thinking of the next question, James.
Yes, probably why I said morality or something.
Yeah. And so it's a case of your mind's in two different places at once. So when you're watching TV, if you're watching something, but you might be thinking of something else, so even planning for, I don't know, work tomorrow or whatever.
It's normally around food, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
So
for tea?
yeah. So, but you know that you're watching the telly at the same time. You're aware that you're looking at it and you can see what's going on screen, but your mind is doing something completely different. And that's what it's like. So it's like a daydream. And it's normal for our brains to do this every day. It's just part of how we function. So in hypnotherapy, what we would do is we would induce that kind of daydream or trance or whatever you want to call it. And that's typically called an induction. And how we do that is generally, there's lots of different ways. For the first time working with somebody, you would tend to want to get their eyes fixed on a particular point or a spot in the room. It could be on the wall, on the ceiling, whatever, however they're lying or they're sitting. And you get them to stare at it and stare at it and stare at it without blinking. And you tell them that their eyes are getting tired, and you count down, and you tell them that when you get to, I don't know, say number 3 or number 4, their eyes will gently close. And if you try it yourself and you try staring at something without blinking and you just keep staring, you will find that your eyelids do get tired, and you do naturally just want to gently close your eyes. And that's what we call an induction. Then what you want to do is try and deepen that, because you've got the eyes closed, you've got somebody who's just kind of maybe just gently drifting away, but we deepen that, so we get people to go into a very nice deep sort of feeling of relaxation. And again, we use numbers, use lots of different kind of visualizations to get you thinking, maybe that you're walking downstairs. And all the while that you're going deeper and deeper and deeper, and you just talk, and eventually you just switch off, and you do, and you let go, and it's just a nice. I can hear my voice going now already. It's just a very nice and peaceful feeling.
This podcast is like just silence.
Yeah.
Michelle and James fell asleep.
Yeah.
Don't listen to this podcast while operating heavy machinery.
Exactly. Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Yeah. And so eventually and your mind can wander, and that's okay, because when you're nice and deeply relaxed, your subconscious hears everything anyway. It never sleeps. Even when you sleep, it doesn't sleep, because you just die. Everything in your body would stop working. So it's always listening, it's always recording things, but we're just trying to kind of silence the conscious part of your mind, the thinking part of your mind, so that we can talk directly to your subconscious. And then when we do that, we can use positive suggestions, and tell your subconscious mind really what to do. But I will say that you can't. Your subconscious mind is so clever that it won't do anything to harm you. So I can't make you do anything that's going to put you at risk. Your subconscious mind is your survival. And I often say to my clients, if I tell you to walk out the room, cross the road, and don't look and see if anything's coming, you're just going to tell me where to go. It's just not happening, because you're at risk of death. So it's a nice experience. Everybody enjoys it, and it is very naturally very relaxing and peaceful, and it's amazing. I've just finished working with a lady now who's stopped drinking, and I did 4 sessions with her, but actually after session 2 she'd reduced, and then after session 3 she had no more, and just absolutely no desire, and it's a lovely feeling. It's a great sense of achievement. But when I stopped drinking, I did that myself. So I used self-hypnosis, and that's something that I teach everybody to do, everyone who comes to see me, so that they can use it in the future to control and manage other things in their lives, because it is something that we can all do. So I did that myself, just to stop me drinking, and it's been now a year and 2 months. So and it's great. You don't forget. So you because your subconscious mind remembers everything. I know that I smoked, for 25 years. I know that I used to drink. You don't forget these things, but you just have this ability, this subconscious self-control, not to give in, and to make more healthy and sensible choices.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's amazing.
That's good.
So what other types of things do you help your clients with?
Oh, massive range. Absolutely massive range. So I had one lady who was getting married and she blushed a lot. She couldn't help but blush. She blushed all the time in lots of different situations. And would she could feel it, but would literally go red, all the way up. And she had bought this wedding dress, which was a low-cut V-neck dress, and she really liked the dress. I think she subconsciously bought that dress, actually. And so she came to see me to stop blushing, and I think I did 3 sessions with her. And then she sent me a photograph of the wedding, and she had never blushed once, not all the way through the ceremony or the photographs or anything. Nail biting is quite a popular thing, helping people to stop biting their nails. Sometimes personal issues, confidence issues, public speaking, driving test. I've had people who come to me because they're so nervous that they can't, they just can't pass their driving test. I had one lady who came she needed an operation and a really quite serious operation, and she tried to have this operation before. When I say try, they'd actually taken her in and given her the anaesthesia, started the operation and then had to stop because her blood pressure got so out of control, it was too dangerous, and they had to bring her around, but she had to have this operation. So she came to me for hypnotherapy. We did, again, I think it was about 3 sessions. And then she successfully managed to have the operation, and her blood pressure was under control. But it's just an amazing thing, the mind, that anything that you think, can materialise in your body. It's, yeah, amazing. I do see a lot of people for addictions. Insomnia is another thing. Again, trying to think of something else that might be quite random. Yeah, loads of things.
So, have you managed to give up the really stressful job?
I have. So, so September last year, I went full-time in my business, so it's almost 6 months now, and it is a bit hairy because obviously, I'm responsible now for my own income.
Yeah.
And, there's lots of challenges. I'm learning lots of things about business that I didn't know and marketing and things like that.
Yeah.
And, but it's the best decision. Apart from giving up smoking and drinking. It's the best decision I've ever made. I don't think I'll ever look back.
No, it's bonkers, isn't it? They can teach you how to be a whatever, but they don't teach you how to run make money doing it.
Well, that's it. The marketing side is it is pretty tough, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I sometimes look at the month and I think, oh right, I need to earn this much. Oh, okay, so I need so many clients, and right, how am I going to get them? And so I love doing what I'm doing and get a massive sense of achievement out of helping people to overcome these things. But the business side, is I'm loving it, but it's also scary. So I am kind of month to month at the moment, but I'm 6 months in. So
that's awesome.
Fabulous.
Are we moving on to the quick fire round, which we still haven't named?
Still haven't got a name for.
Oh dear.
So if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
Oh my God, I need it just to think about
Fine.
Do yoga.
Do yoga, okay. I like
and
that.
meditate because last year I went on a yoga retreat, and I'm now going to be doing my yoga teacher training this year. This is also a part of my journey, and meditation, meditate every single day. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Question number 2 is, what is your favourite movie?
The first movie that's just come into my mind, I've got loads, but the first one is actually Top Gun. I've seen it about 99 times. And
You're looking forward to the second one coming out?
Well, yeah, I am. Oh yeah, I love planes. It's yeah, I love planes. Yeah.
Oh, you'd love living here. 'Cause
flying. I've been watching them.
Yeah.
They've been distracting. Yeah, I had a flying lesson this last year. Yeah, love flying.
You feel the need for speed.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know who I like best, Tom Cruise or Val Kilmer. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
I like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm a Tom Cruise fan.
He's not Matthew McConaughey, but we'll do.
Yeah. Martin Harker, he's, oh yeah.
Sorry.
Go away, James.
Carry on.
Oh, getting warm now.
So the third and final in the quickfire, what are you freakishly bad at?
Oh, timekeeping. I took a while to get there, but that is, timekeeping is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a work in progress. It's something I've been working on for a lot of years. But I used to say that my middle name was Late. I'm getting better now I've got my own business, because obviously I've got clients. But yeah, time. And I think if you were to certainly ask my kids, they would say yes, they're always waiting for me. Mm.
Is that because I always say that I'm not particularly awesome at timekeeping too? It's because I'm so optimistic. I think I can get more stuff done than there is time to do.
Yeah, and particularly going places. So I always think I've got more time than I have. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody talks about getting up early and the miracle morning and all of this. But I think the more I try, the harder it is, which is, it's, I might hypnotise myself to do that, I think.
Awesome. And then the question we ask everybody is, if you had to get in your time machine, which should obviously be an aeroplane, and go back in time and have a word with your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give to her?
Don't smoke. Don't drink. Follow your dreams. And travel. Yeah, definitely travel. And I think, I have been around a little bit, but I think, forgive me kids, but I think if I hadn't have had kids, that is what I would have done. I'd have just travelled. I think I would have been on a slightly different path. I probably would have still got to some of the things where I'm at now, but yeah, definitely. I didn't smoke at 18. I didn't start smoking until I was 21, but it would be a definite: do not smoke, do not drink, and follow your dreams. Don't listen to what other people have to say. It's not their life; it's yours, and travel.
Awesome.
That's very good. Good advice. So if someone is listening that hypnotherapy has resonated with them, what's the best way to find you?
People can find me on the internet via my website, which is www.hypnotherapy-darlington.co.uk. Most people find me on Google. Also on Facebook. My Facebook page is just called Clinical Hypnotherapy. And I'm on Twitter as well, and LinkedIn. Or they can ring me. People can send me a message or just ring me. And all my details are online.
Awesome.
Excellent. We've learned something today.
Thank
Always good.
you.
Yes, so thank you ever so much for travelling all the way to the north of Newcastle to come and talk to us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway and tell everybody.